Hello there, and welcome to Veritas, your source of ideas for self-actualization. My name is Nigel, and I hope you enjoy the podcast for today. Right, the topic for today's podcast is something simple, yet so profoundly essential to our continued existence that we even take it for granted sometimes, more than we should, and it's concerning the breath. So I'm going to begin today's discussion on the breath by first making a short diversion into the topic of sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is a phenomenon that occurs when your body is, for all intents and purposes, asleep, but your consciousness still remains awake. You can see things, but you just can't really move. And my experience with sleep paralysis took place when I was in my father's hometown of Kedah. It was 5 a.m. in the morning, and I still couldn't fall asleep for don't know what reason. But the thing that happened to me was, as I started feeling slightly more and more relaxed, then this wave of numbness comes over me. It just sneaks up on me. It comes up on me. And the next thing I know, I just couldn't really move. And my breaths were just suddenly cut a little bit short, I wasn't taking in the deep breaths that I was used to, but I thought, no big deal. And then slowly my chest starts to tighten. And that's when I suddenly realized, oh shit, Because if there's one thing that I learned from my freediving experience, it's that one of the indicators that your breath is out isn't the point when your chest starts becoming very tight and you start feeling anxious on the inside. No, it's not that. It's when that sensation stops and a warm, relaxing feeling pops and washes all over your body, that you know you're in deep shit, because that's the point when your body has officially run out of oxygen. And when that realization kicks in for me, I was like, oh shit, okay, that's not good. So that's not good, and just as that warm sensation washes over me, I just accept that, oh shit, I might just go off from asphyxiation. And just as that realization makes itself known, I suddenly can move again. I was like, I don't think about anything. But fuck, I'm glad that I'm still breathing. My chest feels very strained, my diaphragm feels really tight, but damn, at least I'm still breathing. And the rest of the night was sleepless, as far as lack of sleep goes. But it was past that experience that really got me thinking about the breath, that I'm glad that case was sleep paralysis and not actual death from asphyxiation. And the more I thought about it, it occurs to me that how people like us, how normal folks like us every day just take the breath for granted. Like, sure, it's an important thing, oxygen is required for the body, You cannot survive without food for a couple of weeks, you can't survive without water for precisely a week, but you cannot survive without the breath for more than 3 minutes. And that's the funny thing, Like, with such an important function that is literally crucial to your survival, it only makes sense for the body to automate the process. But in a sense, this automation of the process has caused us modern humans to kind of take the breath for granted, you know what I mean? And, okay, fine, it has its reasons, because if you think about it, have you tried conducting your breath manually, Thank God it's automatic, because if heck you got caught up with something for too long, let's say you're watching a TV show for far too long and it gets really, really, really action-packed, then you forget to breathe, then, well, too bad, I guess you did. But I guess only God can really answer that question. And speaking of God, then I came across this line of thought which was inspired by a mystic from India by the name of Sadhguru. Pretty wise guy, quite enlightened, and he always makes fun, witty answers to all sorts of questions. And he proposed this line of thought which I find quite interesting, and it goes something like this. So, a seeker one day goes to find a wise man. He asks the wise man this question: "Can you show me God?" The wise man says, "Yes, I will go away and get something. You sit here and hold your breath for 3 minutes." So the seeker sits in his spot as the wise man walks away, and he holds his breath for 3 minutes. Naturally, at the end of 3 minutes, when the wise man comes back, he asks the seeker, who was like, and the wise man asked, "So, do you want to breathe or do you want God?" And the funny thing is that if you ever found yourself in that position, and even if you did choose God, the funny thing is that when you pass out from the lack of oxygen and the medics do happen to find you, the funny thing is that the first thing that the medics would do is that they'll make sure you're still breathing. They'll perform CPR on you just to make sure that you don't run out of breath, to make sure that your brain doesn't die from a lack of oxygen. Which is kind of ironic in a sense, because the medics would much rather give you a breath than God. But in that regard, it does speak volumes about how critical the breath literally is to existence, And I don't really mean it in like, a deep, serious biological way. No, I mean, heck, even our speech, our music, our culture is literally permeated with so many idioms and examples pertaining to the importance of the breath. Like, have you ever said to your significant other on your first date, "Wow, you literally take my breath away. Wow, that scenery is breathtaking. You are like my breath. I cannot survive without you." I mean, don't even get me started on the amount of songs about people taking your breath away. And really, by putting all things into perspective, it ultimately boils down to this. It's that when you realize that nothing is literally more crucial to your continued existence in this moment other than the breath, that realization will inevitably shift your perspective. Even if it's a little bit. And, so here's something I would like to offer you, my friend, for, the next time when you're feeling really bummed out, you can try this, sit straight wherever you are or whenever you are, then take the time to do 10 deep breaths, 10 mindful deep breaths. And let's start right now. Right? So sit straight. Close your eyes. Then take in a deep breath. Breathe out. Breathe in. 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 And breathe out. Well, now you may open your eyes, and if you feel anything the way I do, then I guarantee you will be feeling at least slightly refreshed after that little short breathing exercise. And the thing is that this breathing exercise I am gonna leave you with, it goes for literally anything, be it a 3 minute speech for a conference, or your next big PR lift, or any sports or anything. It's kind of like taking in a deep breath to recharge yourself. And if it helps to visualize things in a spiritual context, you can think of it as literally taking in energy from the universe, if it helps. It's kind of magical like that. And yeah, I hope perhaps that maybe you can develop this understanding, or at least a newfound appreciation for the breath, so that when next time things in your life just go superly out of whack and you're feeling down and really bummed out, then what you need to do is to sit back and take a couple of deep breaths and see if you can put things into perspective that way. And yeah, that brings me to the end of the podcast, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have thinking about this one. And if you like the content so far, I invite you, my friends, to drop a comment or drop a like. Leave some feedback on the channel, as it helps me grow and it helps me be able to make content that you guys will enjoy listening to. And from me to you, I hope every breath is as pleasurable for you as it is for the wisest people on earth. I wish you happiness and all the joy in the world. And on that note, my name's Nigel, and peace out.